We welcome Kyle Busch, winner of the New England 200. Bear with me as we go through some of these stats, please. With this win today at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Kyle becomes the third driver with 100 National Series victories. Busch also tied Mark Martin atop the all-time NASCAR Nationwide Series wins list at 49. The Las Vegas native has won 22 times in the Sprint Cup Series, 49 in the Nationwide Series, and 29 in the Camping World Truck Series. His first win came in 2004 in a nationwide race at Richmond International Raceway, 12 days after his 19th birthday. Busch also won across NASCAR's 3 National Series at 25 different tracks, capturing wins in all 3 series at 8 of those tracks, and became NASCAR's first 3-race weekend sweep winner a year ago at Bristol Motor Speedway. After all that, just talk a little bit about the race today and how you're feeling right now.
Well, I hope we stop rattling off all of those after today. I think we get it. It's just it's a great opportunity for myself to race in NASCAR and to participate in as many races as I do and to win as often as we have. You know, it takes great teams with everybody from Joe Gibbs Racing and Jason and all the guys to Dave and all the guys to Kyle Busch Motorsports and Eric and Rick Wren and everybody there. So certainly it's been fun. You know, it's been exciting here the past few seasons and being able to win as often as we have in a nationwide series especially, but of course to tie Mark's record at 49, but of course all over the NASCAR circuit to win 100. You know, it's pretty cool. So we're halfway to my number. You know, I always said it's 200, and whether it's relative to to Richard or to David Pearson's, that's not what I'm out here for. It's for myself and myself only, and to be able to achieve a goal. And you set your goals high and you try to get out there and do it. You know, if I set a goal that I knew I could reach, then it wouldn't really be a goal. So it's off on the horizon. It's a few years down the road, but hopefully one day we get to 200.
Okay, joining Kyle at the table here today is crew chief Jason Ratcliff. Jason, talk a little bit about your strategy today in the race.
Well, it wasn't as good as I hoped it would be when it started, but typical New Hampshire race for us. Kyle does a good job of keeping the fenders on it and staying up front, and we adjust on our car all day. And we haven't led a lot of laps in the last 3 wins, but we just stay close to the front, and usually the guys on pit road can get it done, and we can do some race strategy to get us out front and get our track position. And today it just wasn't happening. Everybody was doing the same stuff, and I thought, man, we're not going to get it. And I think it was like lap 152 or 3 where this guy goes 3 wide with somebody and gets about 3 spots in one corner. And so we got our track position. So finally, once we did that, I knew that we had an opportunity to get it, and I was glad to do it. Glad to do it here at New Hampshire.
Certainly needing no introduction, joining them at the table is NASCAR veteran Mark Martin. Mark, just talk a little bit about, you knew this was coming. We've heard some comments from you before. How are you feeling today, and how exciting is it to be here with Kyle?
Well, it's pretty incredible. I remember watching Kyle the first time I saw him drive on a 1.5 miles. I'm not sure exactly where it was, if it was Charlotte or where it was, but in a nationwide car, and the way I recall it, it was his first time, in a nationwide car on a 1.5 mile racetrack. And I watched his first lap, and it was like he'd been doing it for forever. And that right there probably impressed me as much as where he sits today. Because you can't, some people can learn how to drive these race cars if they really, really want to and work really, really hard at it. But the guys that already know how before they ever do it, and they work really hard at it, are always more successful. And that's the case with Kyle. He was a natural from the first time he slipped in one of these big stock cars on a big racetrack, NASCAR car. So it's been amazing to watch, and it's hard for me to get my arms around that he is where he is at his age. It's amazing. It's really great that NASCAR is in a position today to give an opportunity to young drivers, and get an opportunity, because 30 years ago, having a 25-year-old driver was not something that a top team would want to have. So it's really cool to see, and I'm just as impressed as everyone else with this guy every week.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. Always state your name and affiliation. We'll start with Mike, go over to Mark.
Kyle, congratulations. Mike Vega, Boston Globe. Just wanted to ask you, yesterday you were asked about the 99 preceding wins that you had and which ones made the lasting impression upon you, but you said that they all kind of run into each other after a while and that you always think about the next one, not dwell on the last one, but here you are at 100. Where do you file this one in the memory bank, and what will be the lasting impression when you make that mental snapshot of this win?
It's a tough question. To me, there's been so many that have been great just because of, certain circumstances that made them great. Whether it was leading all the laps at Phoenix earlier this year, or being able to come back from a lap down and win a race, or to have problems in the winter. Adversity is kind of the ones that stand out in your mind the most, that you're most satisfying to you. But today it's a great one. It'll stick out for a long time because it is number 100. But I'm not going to say that this is the biggest one because it's certainly, I think the inaugural win at Kentucky is bigger than today, and my first win at Las Vegas is bigger than this today. But this is certainly a special day because it is number 100, and it does tie Mark Martin's record of 49 in the Nationwide Series.
Okay, next question, Mark.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Kyle, how do you feel about your name being mentioned in the same breath of a Mark Martin who, when he hangs it up, will be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame? And, you're talking about Richard Petty and David Pearson. These are names that they're in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Just how do you feel about all of a sudden your name is in the same conversation with these guys?
Yeah, certainly. You got to retire first, right, to get in the Hall of Fame. So,
It's going to be a while.
so apparently he's not going to be an inductee anytime soon, but that's all right. More power to him. I said on TV, he's young at heart. He wants to keep doing it. So that's awesome. But for myself to be mentioned in the same category as a Mark Martin or a Sam Art or Moroso was always really good from what I understand. Never really got to see him race, but there's also a few other guys that Houston, I can't remember all off the top of my head right now, but that made the Nationwide Series and made it exciting, in its heyday of the, I guess it was 82 is when it started, right? The Busch Series, yeah. 82. So through the 80s and the early 90s, and this guy here going at it for a long time through the 90s and 2000s. So, it's fun to look back on those and see that my name is atop the list, with the rest of those guys. And there's many more to go, hopefully. So we can certainly make it a large number one day, and we'll see how that all tallies up in the end.
Okay, we'll take a question back here and then come over here to Bob.
Hi, Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. Kyle, why were you untouchable on restarts today?
I don't know. I got a few dings in my left rear quarter panel, so I got touched a few times. But, the restarts is something I've concentrated on for a long time at trying to get better at. A couple times I spun my tires there, but not too bad, and got going in order to stay with the 6, and then the 33 got a good restart there on the last one. But when you run through turns 1 and 2 pretty hard, you get some good speed built up through there. Try to get your momentum back up to speed as quick as you can because these cars don't have much horsepower, so you've got to try everything you can to get your speed rolling up. And we were able to do it. Our car was pretty good.
Okay, Bob.
RacingDaily.com. Can you talk about you and Harvick had another clean race there, but afterward Harvick said that he was warned at Michigan that if he touches you, he'd be parked. So I was kind of curious if you've had any sort of similar warnings recently, and if you haven't, can you take advantage of that?
You're always the party pooper, aren't you? Go away, Bob. This is a great day, and you just ruined it for me, so thanks. But, I had a great race with Harvick. No problem. I think that's the way you should race. I raced him just as clean as he raced me, which is great. And, if he got a warning, I'm sorry he got a warning. I did not get a warning. So I don't know that I took advantage of him in any way. But I raced hard, I raced clean, and ended up where I am.
Okay, we'll take another question back here and then come back up to Mark.
Hi, Kyle. Jamie Parker from the New England Sports Network. I just want you to comment on the competition that you had going with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I mean, obviously he was very hungry with that Fenway Park paint scheme on his car and trying to get it for Red Sox Nation.
Oh, certainly. Ricky, he's in some fast race cars. Those Roush cars have been really good this year, and he's a great race car driver. He won earlier this year for his first win, and it's exciting. You know, he had it going on there. I just felt like we were a little bit better than he was today. You know, just kind of all the way through the corner. It wasn't anything that he was doing really. It just seemed like our car might have been working a bit better than his. So, you know, when I got up to him, or when I saw the car earlier this weekend, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool looking. You know, that's neat. And then when it was out front leading the race, I'm like, man, if he wins in that thing, it's going to be huge. So I was trying everything I could to win, you know, and not let him have it, but, you know, to try to keep it clean and race him as hard as I could and allow that the space between us.
Okay, we'll take a question from Mark, then go up to the press box.
Mark Arrow again, PRN. For Mark Martin. Mark, you talked earlier about how much respect you've had for Kyle, or how he at least caught your eye early on. How would you explain to people what you think his driving style is? How, you know, explain what makes Kyle Kyle.
You know, no one is exactly like Kyle. He is his own guy on the racetrack. He races really, really hard. He gets a lot out of his race car, and he doesn't hit a lot of stuff doing it. And it's hard to find someone that will race as hard as he races and not really cross the line once in a while. And it seems like, from my experience watching him and racing him, that if you don't cross the line with him, he won't cross the line with you. And that's pretty incredible for his intensity. And I also would like to say too, you know, while I've got a chance, you know, we're celebrating a milestone day here. I don't want Jack Ingram to be forgotten.
Yep.
And when we passed his record, I think it was back at 32. That was, you know, Jack Ingram was a hero of mine too. Such a gritty, incredible racer. And just sitting here looking up at and seeing this picture of Tommy Ellis, you know, I remember Jack Ingram and Sam Ard and Tommy Ellis being and Tommy Houston being, you know, the four that were just incredible racers. And you know, I'd like to give them props and salute today as well.
Okay, we'll go up to the press box for questions.
Reed Spencer with Sporting News for Kyle. Throughout the day, it seemed like a relatively mixed bag in terms of whether the outside or the inside lane was working better on restarts for certain drivers. Did you consider picking the outside on that final one, and were you aware that Kevin had been having trouble getting going on some of the restarts earlier?
No, I wasn't aware of him having trouble. It seemed like when I was restarted next to Ricky Stenhouse and Joey was behind me, he got going just fine. I saw him on my inside a little bit. Actually, he jumped to the inside of the six, so didn't seem like he had any problems to me. And then there on the last one, he was right up alongside of me. But, you know, the inside-outside on the restarts, I think, was just, I don't know why. I chose the bottom just because it was the shortest way around, and I'd rather be the guy on the inside than the guy on the outside. And my car was working better lower than it was high. So I just knew that if I could get it down on the bottom and try to use a little bit of the apron, I can keep my car rotating and build the speed up off turn 2.
Kyle, Jason Remillard from the Springfield Republican. Just talk about, you know, people will look at the numbers and say 49 nationwide wins and 29 truck, and are you focused on getting that cup number to match the nationwide and the truck number? I mean, because that's ultimately, I think, what mostly the public will judge you by.
Yeah, certainly it'll be nice to get those numbers higher. I mean, if I could have 49 cup wins right now, I'd certainly feel a little bit better, but I don't, so it doesn't matter. It's a total, however you add them up the same way, regardless of the series, they equal 100. So, I'm 26 years old. Maybe there's an opportunity for me to be around here as long as Mark Martin and winning, 4, 5, 6 races a year to just keep tallying that number up. But it's going to take a lot longer at 4 or 5 wins a year than it does in a nationwide series at 10, 11, or 13 a year. So certainly we've been able to accomplish that the last few seasons thanks to this guy next to me and our team and the guys at Toyota that give us great race cars.
Kyle, Drew Bonifant with the Concord Monitor. Just wondering, with the flurry of cautions right there at the end, was the team starting to feel antsy at all? Or, I mean, were you looking at more as just a advantage with your strength in the restarts, or was it did you look at a disadvantage because it was keeping the field closer than it looked like your car could have made it?
Yeah, I mean, when we were out there leading the race, we had a bit of distance on everybody, so certainly I would have rather have seen it just go green to the end. Anything can happen in the end of these races, as we saw with a few of the other guys. You know, the 22 got caught up in a wreck, the 20 got caught up in a wreck, and a couple other guys, but you know, it can happen at any moment. So when you're out there leading the race, you could have a guy dive bomb you on the inside and get loose and run into you and spin you out, or you know, vice versa. You could do the same thing. You know, like when I was racing Ricky Stenhouse, I was just trying to make sure that I didn't get loose and do the same thing. So it was just all about keeping your car straight, keeping the grip in the tires as best you could, and looking out the other side of the corner.
Any more questions from the press box? We'll come back down here. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Genevieve with Skirts and Scuffs. You've obviously done well with all these series, these 3 series. What's next? What other series have you not tried yet? I mean, in New Hampshire we have modifieds. Have you done that? Do you want to do a modified car?
I've done the modifieds at New Smyrna, and ran down there one time and wasn't so successful. It was fast, but didn't end the day so well. So I've also run in the K&N Pro Series East West Companion race at Iowa Speedway. I won that one a few years ago. So you know, there's race series all across the country that I participate in, like the CRA Super Series or the ASA Midwest Tour, Super Late Model Rank stuff. The ACT race next weekend at Oxford 250. So you know.
Need to get him in an F1 car, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so, open wheel next.
You know, I
want to go to an F1 race, and maybe that'd be my ticket.
Yeah.
I've had 3 or 4 sponsors call me and ask me if I'm going to go run the Indy 500 or the Vegas race at the end of the year, to let them know so they can sponsor my car. So I've got a sponsor anytime I want to go to IndyCar, but you know, we'll see if that happens. I'd rather win a Cup championship first. So if I go ring my bell, that I've already done what I wanted to do here.
Well, congratulations today.
Thank you.